Okay. So this is performance standards in positron emission tomography. Joel Carr, Journal of Nuclear Medicine, Volume 13, Number 32, December 1991. And where this standard evolved, but what is showing this picture is showing that in 3D you get a different efficiency in the middle of the detector compared to the border, and that is understandable because this one at the edge is just getting the vertical photons. Okay? Then this one is getting the vertical photons plus some oblique photons. This one is the luckiest one. He gets all the oblique photons from this edge to that edge, plus the vertical and all the others. So current path, even if you move the detector and use it in 3D, you move the detector 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, the lucky organ that is right in the center of the detector gets more photons, more statistics, and better image. So you don't have a uniform image. You have an image that depending where, if you use a 3D, depending where you place your detector, so you might not detect a tumor because it's at the edge of your detector. In 2D, no. 2D, you say, okay, the organ is 15 centimeter, I have a 15 centimeter detector, and I'm just detecting the one that goes vertical. But that is bad for... yeah.
But that's not really addressing the question of...
Well, no, now we go back and Jerry is calculating it. So, we start from those two figures, 66 millicurie, O15 water, and how many photons are recorded by the machine. And my calculation, there are several nodes there, it comes to 200,000 per second. So you just divide the two and you get 0.014. Then, next step is, okay, that is a fact, measurable. Where are the photon loss? And it's hard to believe the last figure, 8.88%. Okay, so let's go by exclusion. All the other are mathematical things. And if we don't make a mistake in the other, we must believe the last one. Because the last one, it may be it's the combination of electronics plus the assembly of the detector plus, but the photons are lost in some place.
You're saying that each one of these, the first 1, 2, 3, 4 efficiencies on current, you can calculate approximately, or maybe exactly, but yeah. In any case, you have solid evidence for these.
Yes.
And so this last box has to be the difference.
Yeah. And it's hard to believe for someone to be that low, especially the current manufacturing of it is.
Now on your side, the 3D CBS side, you're claiming 95% for this. But that's not necessarily the solid figure unless you can show evidence of the efficient photon identification and photons in time coincidence.
Okay.
So this is not a calculated...
Wait, I like to answer to that.
Okay.
We can address all this. Okay, in order to claim the 95%, we have to show that is a electronic dead time frame, because that is electronic. What I have shown there today on the scope is that I have a system that I can put as many layers as I need depending on the complexity of the algorithm and the input data rate. Given those two parameters, I can put as many layers and coat and have a 0 dead time. Okay. Now, what are the information that I need? Is the decay time of the crystal. I don't want to build an electronic more sophisticated and more performance than the crystal, what crystal can give me. Okay? So I start from the decay of the crystal, 230. Although then there is some dead time for recovery, because the light is still there. Okay? Let's say 250. Okay? So my input data rate is 250. Okay? So I have to design a system that should take the data every 250 nanoseconds. Then the complexity of the algorithm. You have seen that algorithm that is taking the data, converting it through a lookup table. So linearization on everything, ADC count and everything, offset and everything in the lookup table. Then exchanging the data with the neighbors, getting the data from the neighbors, making the sum, making the local maximum. It does all that in 7 steps. Okay. So I need a system depending on the speed of the processor. If the processor, let's say, is 20 megahertz, 50 nanoseconds, I can execute 5 instructions. 2 layers is sufficient. I put the 3rd layer back up. I would like to increase the complexity of the algorithm. Save it, okay? Put 4 layers. So this is a way of demonstrating the 95%. 0 dead time on the electronic. And we have all these parameters, detector, complexity of the algorithm, and so on. We don't need to measure everything by the Pentium 2.5 gigahertz. Okay? Because if you take a 2.5 gigahertz Pentium, it doesn't solve the problem, because it doesn't have the architecture of north, east, west, south, top, bottom, and the specific instruction that is doing this and that.
Okay.
Yes?
Talked about this, the way you determine the energy that you see is through this lookup table. After you come through the ADC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you construct that lookup table?
Calibration. You take a source,
Yes.
and as I said, I intend to put a stage
Yeah.
at the middle. Okay. And that calibration is also when I will use the positron, that it emits the 2 photons, not emits, it annihilates with the electron and then emits 2 photons. At that point, you are also calibrating the time. Okay. However, you have a source or something that it gives you a fixed light, and then you calibrate. If it doesn't give you a fixed light, then you calibrate on average on a certain time accumulation. Okay. You know that the closer it is to the crystal, the more signal you get. So either you calibrate on average or you calibrate on a known hit. Okay. And then you have to normalize. And typically, what you have to do minimum is pedestal. Some of the channels start from 0, some from 0.3 volt, and some from, okay. So subtract the pedestal, and then the gain. And you just put a curve on the lookup table, and you build. We did that. I did several times at CERN with calibration. You run some calibration test, and